Now, back in the 90s and early 2000s, there used to be this pickup truck-based SUV called the Nissan Terra. Now, it had modest sales, but I gotta say it was pretty ahead of its time because back then, sedans were the kings of the road. These days, though, PPVs are a dime a dozen, but companies can't go crazy with kitting it with everything that they've got. But in this case right here, I think we've found the sweet spot. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph. And in a world of compromise, we'll be reviewing one of the most kitted pickup truck-based SUVs out there, the Nissan Terra VL 4x4. Now, when the Nissan Terra was first released a few years ago, a lot of people went crazy over its looks. I mean, it had curves in all the right places. Now, this facelifted model right here is definitely a step above that, in my opinion, which I'm gonna show you right here. These sharp-looking arrow-shaped headlamps and those quad projectors as well, which we first saw in the Nissan Navara. This updated V-Motion grille that give it a more mecha look, in my opinion. And you got the silver trim right there below, giving it a more aggressive look. And look at this, the hood. The hood actually has this angular, muscular looking design that gives you more confidence as you drive, but also features a functional use as well. These actually serve as guidelines as you move down the road. You can actually use this to give you that a little bit more perspective whenever you drive, so that you won't hit it around when you're driving around, especially in Manila. You got their camera up top right there, which shows its function to work with Nissan's intelligent mobility. Overall, this front clip really gives me these angular vibes that I really like. Now, heading over to the side profile of the Nissan Terra, the first thing that catches your eye, of course, are those 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels. They're decked in highway rated tires, so if you want to take this off-road, you might want to taper your expectations on what kind of roads you want to take off the beaten path. You got this chunky little step board right here, which does not affect the overall ground clearance at 225 millimeters, which makes it a little bit more functionality, because usually with SUVs, if you got this step board, it actually affects the ground clearance, bringing it below 200 millimeters. But in this case, you still have it right there. Now, usually with SUVs, in order to give you that macho, that aggressive, and that off-roady look, they'd give it black plastic cladding. You know me, in this channel, we actually have this little meme where most SUVs and crossovers will have you gotta really have that black plastic cladding. In this case right here, the Terra doesn't need it at all. Now, you got cameras on their side mirrors as well as turn signals. These cameras are on the other side as well. They again work with Nissan's intelligent mobility system. Those work with a 360-degree camera, which is great. You got this roof rail up top, it looks functional and all good. And you got these large side windows here as well. And overall, it really looks great. I mean, you don't have these angular look. It doesn't look very angular, especially when looking around. It's not the sexiest looking SUV around, but it certainly is one of the most macho looking. And again, I like my SUVs the way it should be: boxy, angular, and rugged. Let's check out the rear to find even more features that I want to show you. Now, out here in the rear is where I tell you I'd find most of my complaints with the Nissan Terra. First of all, this odd design of a chrome strip, it doesn't really fit the entire build. I mean, why does it have to be curved up in an arch looking design when you could have just omitted it entirely, or probably added a chrome strip as normal right there? But again, I'm not a professional designer. It's just something that I find quite odd. Right on top here, you got your camera that works as a camera for the rear view mirror. So in case the person behind you has their high beams on up, instead of having to just use the concave of your rear view mirror to just divert the light, making it darker, you can actually switch to the camera, making it, well, giving it a little bit more visibility, especially at night. You got another camera right here, which works with the 360-degree system. So you got two cameras right here in the back. Got this nice Terra badge right there middle. And in the back, your VL 4x4. This is probably the only differentiation that you're gonna have with the VL 4x2, that 4x4 badge. You can't have the 4x4 badge if you're not carrying a 4x4, but if you want to do that, it's really up to you. You got your silver trim right here on the bottom as well, single port exhaust. And again, I want to talk about living in a world of compromise. Now, this is the top of the line Terra. You would expect this to have a power tailgate, but in this case, No, it doesn't have a power tailgate. Instead, you get this manual lifting gate. It is assisted and it's easy to open, but again, I really wish that it had a power tailgate system, but we'll be moving into the interior later on and I'll show you what other toys, what other features Nissan gave you to compensate for the lack of a power tailgate. Lifting that up gives you access to this space right here. Even though you have the third row seats up, you still have access to all this space. Now, even though you're carrying about a week's worth of groceries, you can definitely put that right there. My only gripe is the height. Now, you got this really high up right here. It's about 3 feet up. And again, I'm 5'10.5". And even though I'm that height, I would still take a little bit more effort to put some stuff on top of this here because of this huge ledge right here. But the one thing that's useful about that ledge though is that it actually has some space underneath it. There you go. So underneath that space, you have some space to hide some of your stuff. But when it comes to functionality and practicality or ergonomics, this might not be the best. But at least you can fold these rear seats down if you need even more space. These third row seats fold flat, and those second row folds flat as well, actually tumble forward, which gives you a nice trick with the Nissan Terra, which I'll show you later on. It's functional and it's nicely designed. The only gripes about it is that it's pretty high up and you don't have power tailgate. But I'm gonna show you again those features that I think Nissan placed in order to compensate for those lackings. All right, so we're inside the Nissan Terra VL 4x4, and the first thing that's going to catch your attention is this dashboard. You got this nice red leather material right in the middle of the dashboard, and it's more than soft touch. It really is nice and supple. Again, the word is supple. There you go. It's amazing. I mean, right below it, you've got this silver trim on it. On top, it's still hard plastic, but that's fine. That you won't be touching that most of the time. Anyway, what you would be touching, however, would be this black, piano black material that acts as bezels around the 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system, and more of that right here on the shifter as well. I'm not a fan of piano black, as you know, but at least they're in just those spots and nowhere else. About that touchscreen though, it's one of the more high definition touchscreens I've ever seen at this price point. It does have wireless Apple CarPlay, but if you're using Android phones, you're out of luck. You're gonna have to use your USB cable. You got 2 ways to connect your USB cable, one with the USB-A, which is a more traditional port, and USB-C port as well. That's perfectly fine for me. At least you get to charge your phone. Still have this 12-volt socket there, and right there you got this dial to control your 4-wheel drive system. You got 2-wheel drive, you got 4H, of course 4-low. This definitely has some real off-roading credentials because it has a rear locking differential. Now here's the thing, like I said, this car is all about concessions. It's all about making the right choices with the limited amount of funds that Nissan has to develop this. So here are a couple of things that they omitted. They omitted the power tailgate, and they, for some reason, omitted a fully adjustable steering wheel. So it has adjustable, it's adjustable for rake, which is up and down, but not for reach. I mean, this is an SUV that's more than 2 million pesos, but unfortunately it doesn't have that one single feature which I'm looking for, especially in driving. You won't be able to get your optimum driving position in this one, but at least you do have these zero gravity seats that help you out. But in my opinion, zero gravity seats are just they're just that. I would rather have a telescopic steering wheel that's adjustable for both up and down and going forward than the zero gravity seats. But that's okay, that's fine. You've got this rear backup camera that actually shows and projects itself in the backup mirror there. That multi-information display, you can actually check that out to check out your fuel economy. You even have these menu items to check out your off-roading details, how much power goes to what part of the wheel. You got a compass, and you've got systems right here to check out your Nissan Intelligent Mobility. It's a complete package. One thing that's not complete though is that it doesn't seem to have adaptive cruise control. You do have your regular cruise control right here. Those buttons are there available for you, but the buttons where you actually control the adaptive cruise control are blank. And again, you have electronic parking brake, and there's a blank button again right there that's supposed to be for automatic brake hold, but no, you won't find that here on the Nissan Terra VL 4x4, which is again an odd omission. Again, you would think and you would be mad at Nissan for not putting automatic brake hold, but Nissan bounces back again with these buttons right here. You got these switches to actually tumble forward the second row seats instead of having to do it yourself manually. So just check this out right here. And it tumbles forward. Easy. Giving you access to the third row seats. And again, it's a nice feature, it's a nice touch. Here's the thing about the Nissan Terra. The Nissan Terra gives you all these features that you thought you might not need, but are there. But the things that you're looking for, the usual suspects like automatic brake hold, power, tailgate, they seem to be missing. So again, you're missing some stuff, but Nissan adds a few stuff. So that's the thing. What I do love about this though is the Bose entertainment system. It has one of the best sounding systems at this price point. All right, so let's check out the second row seats and see what's what. There is a special surprise waiting for us that I want to show you. All right, so right now we're in the second row of the Nissan Terra 4x4, and it's kind of odd. Usually when I review pickup truck-based SUVs, I'd find myself having a lot of space in the back, especially for my feet, but the floor seems to be raised higher up than usual, but in the seats as well, they're pretty much higher up, giving you a more commanding view of the road. Kind of reminds me of the Nissan Navara that we reviewed, where the second row is actually higher, the seats actually are much higher than the ones up front. This gives you a lot more commanding view of the road, but if I were the passenger myself, I'd prefer to be ensconced and pretty much inside the cabin instead of sitting on top of the vehicle. But everything's comfortable. You got enough space for myself. People who would be taller than me would probably be looking for more space, especially talking about headroom. I barely have enough space right here on top. And yeah, this is perfect for me. This is okay. At least you got a center armrest with cup holders. You got air vents for the air conditioning right here on top, not just on top, but right here below, mounted on behind the armrest up front. You got chargers, you got a USB-A and a USB-C as well. Now, the floor is fairly flat, which again is an advantage for Nissan because again, the floor is raised high up. So at least I think that's what Nissan was going for, so that in order to remove that huge hump in the middle, they can make the floor flatter. But in this case, it actually has a penalty for headroom. Now check this out, guys. This has an 11-inch screen right here in the back. You can actually mirror your phone or your laptop to it. And well, for those long trips, if you got kids, they can watch their SpongeBob, they can watch their Simpsons or whatever those kids are watching these days, or Rick and Morty. But they can even mirror their phones to it and play their games. Let's check that out right now and see how that goes. All right, so right here we're at the third row of the Nissan Terra 4x4, and it's very comfortable here. It's because we have the second row seats tumbled forward, but the ultimate test, of course, is to have these seats as they should. Okay, let's put it down. See, oh wow! As you can see, my foot actually hit the second row. That's why there's that infographic there for you to be careful when you put it down. And all right, so with the third row seats folded up and all the way back as per usual, I barely have any space for my knees. The floor back here is pretty high up, therefore it seems like I'm a little bit squatting in place right here. So this is probably good for kids, for people below 5'5", but for myself, this is a no-go for me. But at least you got some cup holders right here in the back, the HDMI cable where I can actually cast my phone, my Android phone, or my laptop to this screen right here. So this, you can actually work from anywhere or play from anywhere or even Netflix and chill from anywhere. So this is one of my favorite features right here. But again, it won't appease me if I sit in the back seat like this. So the best way to do is, of course, tumble these seats forward and relax, preferably with a partner right here. So this is one of the best things about the Nissan Terra. But enough of this, let's take this out for a drive and see how this goes. All right, so we're behind the wheel of the Nissan Terra 4x4 VL. We reviewed the 4x2 variant last time, and the only difference that this has over that variant is, of course, the drivetrain. You got a four-wheel drive system powered by a 2.5-liter turbocharged diesel engine that makes 187 horsepower and 450 Nm of torque, and it's powered by this 7-speed automatic transmission, which is really buttery smooth. There's no drive modes to speak of, like sport, eco, and normal. The only drive mode that you have is your right foot. All right, so power delivery, it's all right. It's got gobs of torque, I gotta say. The power delivery is more linear than crazy. When it comes to pull, when it comes to torque, definitely feel it. It's right there. It's just no speed demon. That's perfectly fine. Suspension, yeah, you've got independent suspension all around, of course. It's pretty comfortable inside, and NVH is also good. You're pretty isolated from the outside world. You still hear a little bit of that diesel clatter, but just a faint noise. But if you do open the windows, there you go. You hear that truck-like sound? That's you. That's coming from the diesel engine. It's really loud, but again, it's up to par for diesel-fed trucks and SUVs anyway. You still feel a lot of the shakes and the body roll, but it's fairly comfortable even for a truck-based SUV, and high marks for the Nissan Terra on that one. How does it work when it comes to fuel economy? I'm happy to report that during city driving, even during heavy traffic, you can still get around 8 kilometers per liter in the city. Now on the highway, 15, 16 kilometers per liter is the norm. So, yeah, when it comes to fuel economy, it's pretty great. So let's talk about safety features. Well, you got your standard set of airbags. You got ABS with electronic brake force distribution. And yeah, you got disc brakes all around. One of the gripes of the previous Nissan Terra was that you only got disc brakes up front. So this time you got full disc brakes on all 4 wheels. And you also have Nissan's intelligent mobility system, which is their suite of active and passive safety features, which include emergency braking. You also have lane keep assist. You got blind spot monitoring system. You got rear cross traffic alert. You got this surround view or their 360-degree view cameras. You even have this nice screen here that actually shows up in the rear view mirror to help you out, and actually helps out with if you see any pedestrian in the back. You got that right there. So one thing it lacks though, it lacks advanced cruise control systems like adaptive cruise control. You don't even have automatic brake hold, which is kind of weird because for a car that does have emergency braking, you would think that it has some sort of system inside it to activate active cruise control, because it does have the radars there, but unfortunately not on this one. So that's kind of odd. But pricing for the Nissan Terra VL 4x4 starts at 2,354,000 pesos. Now, considering that the Nissan Terra VL 4x2 starts at 2,014,000 pesos, you got a few things to consider. Do you really need the 4x4 system? If you think that you need something extra, you definitely want to go for the 4x4 variant, and that gives you the edge over the 4x2. But I'm thinking that Nissan actually is the good guy in this scenario. If you want to get the same type of feel when you drive, you'll be driving this thing anyway in two-wheel drive for like 99% of the time for the entire life of the vehicle. So if you really absolutely don't need the 4-wheel drive, if you don't need the Bose system, which sounds great by the way, and I think you're going to be missing out on a lot if you don't have that. But if you really don't, you're not into sounds, you don't need that system, you might want to be happy with the 4x2. But again, if you want the full-fat version, if you want nothing but the best from Nissan, for the brand, you won't be feeling left out if you get the 4x2. But if you get the 4x4, you won't be feeling like you overpaid as well because of everything that they're throwing at you. And that's the thing about Nissan vehicles. They actually know how to price their vehicles in between each ones, that they have the perfect car for the perfect budget. And if you're looking for a great pickup truck-based SUV, which is comfortable, which looks great, which is very comfortable inside, although missing in a few things, but have a few more things added as well, this is it's a good option. You might want to consider this. That's it for our review of the Nissan Terra VL 4x4, but I want to know what you think. Drop us a comment in the comment section down below, and while you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you wouldn't miss any of our videos. Now, the reason why we make this videos is for you guys. We want to know exactly what you think, and of course we want to help out with your buying decisions, so head on over to Zigwheels.Ph to get the best deals on your favorite vehicle. Thanks so much for watching. This is Roy Robles of Zigwheels.Ph. I'll see you guys next time.